Dana, welcome to the Campfire Stories podcast, episode 4. We're excited to have you.
Thank you.
Yay! Cue the crowd applause.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here.
Beautiful, beautiful. So let's just jump right in. Can you share with us a little bit about what you're doing today with Salesforce, specifically Trailhead, even?
Mm-hmm.
Sure. So I work on the Trailhead marketing team. Some of the things that I focus on are our social media. So I know a lot of our great trailblazers from conversations on Twitter. I do a lot of our trailblazer stories now. So I'm interviewing lots of people to post on the Trailhead site. Whenever you see a little bio of someone and then their long story and how Trailhead has affected them and all these exciting personal details that they have, I get the pleasure of interviewing people to write those as well. And then I get to do some more long form blog posts that go a little bit deeper into people's personal experiences. And those are usually on our Medium blog, and sometimes they're reposted to the Salesforce corporate blog. And I've done a lot of work in the past with our email marketing, so making sure that the latest content of Trailhead gets out as far as what are the new badges and things gets emailed out to folks. And also the campaign. So like one of our most recent campaigns was the Seize the Trail campaign. So getting people excited to make a goal and earn a lot of badges towards the end of 2017, kind of as a reverse New Year's resolution. So doing lots of little things like that, and really happy and I hate the word blessed. In some ways it's overused, but I feel blessed that I get to interview and talk to so many happy people learning on Trailhead every day as my job.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's awesome, as Stacy was just getting ready to say there. I'm kind of
cut me off. I was going to say we actually just met with one of your trailblazers that you've highlighted. James Chen was recently here with us, and what a great story. Absolutely. All right, Justice, I'm sorry, I cut you off like 3 times.
I love it. So no, just to build on that even, Stacy. So Dana, I don't know if you know this, but yeah, when we interviewed James, he shared with us his story and how he came from China, and he was sponsored, backed by a guarantor. And essentially, he went down the path of, I think, did he say computer science major, Stacy?
Yes.
Computer science major. But obviously, through that, it's kind of a broad degree program to go under for undergrad. So he started assessing the landscape of technologies he could get into. And obviously, Salesforce came about organically. And he said Trailhead was essentially the catalyst. And what was surprising was, I didn't even know this about the level of dedication he had with Trailhead, but he told us, what was it, 10 hours a day, 7 days a week, that he's on Trailhead. And that was just inspiring to hear.
Yeah, his story is really amazing. He had an incredible work ethic and really was able to dig in and not only, I think, learn on Trailhead online, but even to start attending local events in the Atlanta area and getting to know fellow trailblazers and making connections in that way. So he has a very nice story.
That's awesome. And Dana, I don't know if you recall, but Justice introduced you and I in person the latter part of Dreamforce just this past November. And it was in the lobby of the Marriott, I believe.
Oh, I remember.
Oh, that's right. I forgot all about that. I'm thinking, where was this?
Yeah, and it was watching just how people interacted with you. I had been sharing some of my own story throughout the week, the story of my friend Yancey that's working through Trailhead to get into Salesforce, listening to Justice tell his story, and then just watching how people interacted with you. And it was like everyone that came through the lobby that stopped, they all had a story to tell you. And it was interactions like that even inspired this podcast. Justice and I got to talking after Dreamforce about the variety of stories and the impact and the inspiration and the encouragement that comes out of these stories, and how important it is that we hear and share stories with other trailblazers. So that was kind of the whole basis for our podcast, even beginning this year, was just to be a platform for people to be able to share stories and inspire and encourage and connect with others. Is this what you envisioned Trailhead to like? And I don't know how far the program had grown when you came on, but I know you've been with it for a couple of years now. And like, did you have any understanding of how inspiring and life-changing this educational tool was going to be?
Well, first of all, I just want to thank you for starting this podcast. I remember when you told me you were going to, and I was like, oh, I wanted to start a podcast. I'm not jealous or upset. I'm glad you guys are doing it, because so far I haven't been able to, and it's something that I totally agree is necessary, and you're doing a wonderful job with it. So did I know? Well, okay. So it would be cheating to say that I did know, because it really was. So I joined Trailhead about 2 years ago, and it really was chugging along and very promising at the time that I joined. And I think one of the reasons I chose to join was I could see the benefit of a program such as this. And when speaking with the team members I had the pleasure of interviewing with and speaking to, I could tell that they really understood and could see the benefit, and they could see far into the future, even in ways that perhaps I couldn't. Mm-hmm. I have a background in nonprofits and an interest personally, especially with education. I've been volunteering as a tutor with an education nonprofit in San Francisco for, I think this is like my 9th school year. And so I really did like the idea of getting to work at an exciting, innovative tech company, but in an area that felt true to what I really care about, which is helping people, being a social benefit to the world. And so I was hoping it was what I thought it was and what people talked to me about it as. And fortunately, it's all true. And Trail Heart is real. And what everyone who works on Trailhead does deeply care about helping people first and foremost. In fact, one of the internal slogans we have is because people is kind of the answer to many questions that someone might have. And just why do we do what we do? Why does this one thing need to be better? Why do we need this one change or feature? Why are we working so hard? Because people. And I think that that's really important. And something I really love about this work. And then in particular, the work I've gotten to slowly focus on as I've been on the team. I mean, it's a dream job is kind of every time I talk about my job, I'm burdened with all these cliches. I should probably spend some time thinking of some better words, but they really do feel right. It is a dream job to be able to tell the stories of people who are experiencing such wonderful positive change in their life, and working with a team that's fun and smart and kind and compassionate. So yes, to answer your question in the longest way possible, I did see it, but it's already kind of starting. Plus, I had some really great people explain to me what their vision was. So I'm not necessarily a prophet in any means, but I had a good indication of how things were going.
Yeah, no, that's I appreciate you sharing that. Well, first of all, thank you for the feedback surrounding what was originally actually Stacy's idea. So I want to give her credit there, but we did come together and collaborate and come up with Campfire Stories. But no, I don't even really have a question with what I'm about to say here. It's more of a comment. The work you guys are doing over there, Dana, it's phenomenal. And I think what it's doing is it's truly catalyzing the lives of many. Even just for me specifically, when I first had an opportunity to do admin stories, it gave me a level of confidence surrounded around competence that put me in a situation and a position where I felt like my subject matter expertise was at a level in which I could share that with others, and I felt that I had achieved a certain threshold of understanding of the Salesforce tool. And a lot of that came from Trailhead. So when I had the opportunity recently to present at what is now referred to as Trailhead Live in Minneapolis here, a session around from accidental admin to awesome admin, or maybe, actually, I'm sorry, it was from accidental admin to trailblazer with Trailhead. I received resounding feedback, and what I learned throughout that experience, Dana and Stacy, was, a lot of us have a developed subject matter expertise in multiple areas of the Salesforce platform, whether it's Marketing Cloud, whether it's Sales Cloud, whether it's IoT, whether it's, whatever it is, Einstein Analytics with Mark Tossel out there in Europe. I think being able to step back and then share the journey of how we got to that perceived subject matter expert or that thought leader, and being able to share the specific modules and badges that helped in equipping and tooling us with that understanding is beneficial for a lot of people who are early on in their admin journeys or developer journeys. So I know you guys are putting a lot of work in with your messaging and your communications and your tweeting and retweeting and your admin stories. I just wanted to give you guys a major shout out for that, because it's definitely changing the lives of many. So thank you.
Well, thank you. I'm glad that you feel that way, and I'm glad that it feels that way to people in the audience of all the work that we're doing and all of our trailblazers, because I that's kind of the goal. I love helping amplify individual stories of success, not only to inspire others. That's obviously the main goal is, I tell this one person's story, so it will inspire other people. Maybe they'll say, hey, that person's story sounds like me, or that person looks like me, and they'll want to do the work. But then also, one of the fun things when you're interviewing someone is you get to think, and you're telling their story, I hope this also helps their career. I hope this helps them realize that they're achieving something and they are, like, this removes any imposter syndrome they have. I hope this is a great moment for them in their personal career as well, just because that's kind of exciting. I mean, to be highlighted as you have, Justice, in different ways, is such a more than a feather in your cap, as I say, but it is such a great thing to have in one's career. So it's pretty fun to have that kind of relationship with people. And so far, it's been such a great positive experience. So I'm glad that you guys like it as well.
No, that's good. That's good. So let me ask you, so now going to a question here quick. Does Dana Hall have a favorite Trailhead module?
Oh, yeah. Good question. Good question.
I feel like I have a lifelong difficulty picking favorites, but some of the ones that I've enjoyed the most are some of the more managerial content that's like the soft skills, like coaching and feedback, and preparing like for a one-on-one with your manager kind of discussions. I've really enjoyed. I've been surprised sometimes when I, in the past, have had to learn a soft skill, like maybe for work or for school or something. It's always seemed so obvious and boring, and you kind of blaze through it. But I've learned a lot from the soft skill stuff, and I think the soft skills on Trailhead have extremely valuable content and information. And I think it's spelled out in ways that are really helpful, like a little self-help book for your career. Whereas a lot of the times I think soft skill stuff isn't necessarily that valuable, but on Trailhead it is. And then obviously all of our hard skill and technical knowledge stuff is top notch. I think everyone knows that, but I hope that people listening maybe give some of the soft skills a chance, because I think they're as well done as some of our more technical admin and developer content. So my favorite is, I can kind of pull up what the names are, but I think coaching and feedback was one of the ones I liked the best.
That's awesome. We have talked numerous times about how impressed we are with Trailhead, that it's not just about learning the platform. It's not just about advancing your admin career, your developer career, or even for the end users, that it really is for general life skills. Like you said, the coaching, the management, the leading, the diversity, the include, like it's carries through so many different aspects of your Salesforce career, your entire career, and really your entire life. Like there's so many pieces of your day that that Trailhead can help build. And I love that you guys don't just focus on here's how to be better with Salesforce, but it's here's how to be better, period. And all that that encompasses.
Yeah, just piggybacking on that comment, Stacy, you're absolutely right. You as well, Dana. You can go from learning, about two-factor authentication for managing, effective security practices within your Salesforce implementation. But then at the same time, let's say you're a new admin and you've never worked, depending upon what your background experiences are, you might have not have ever worked for a major corporation. So it's interesting how you can learn about two-factor authentication in Trailhead, but in the same token, you can learn about, best practices for how to exist within a corporate culture and dynamic. You can learn about, diversity and inclusion. These are all things that are going to help equipping you in being successful while working for a major organization or a nonprofit or a small to mid-sized organization. So I think those soft skills are crucial. And in fact, I've benefited greatly. Obviously, we all have managers. So just being able to go through, I can't think of the name of the module either, Dana, but there is a managerial with prepping for one-on-ones and how to effectively, communicate to your manager. That module in of itself was transformative for me because it gave me different,
I looked it up. It's literally called one-on-one meetings. It's part of the Salesforce, the Manage the Salesforce Way Trail. So there's a module called one-on-one meetings, and it's learn tips for having productive one-on-one meetings with your direct reports. And I don't have any direct reports, but I find that learning that sort of material is valuable for everyone. Everyone needs to be prepared and know what a manager needs and to also manage up. There's also alignment with your manager. Learn how to align with your manager and why it's important for you and your team, along with kind of the other ones. And the coaching and feedback one is another module in that trail that stuck out to me. So I didn't mean to interrupt, but I got excited to have found it on
No,
trail.
that's good. There's been too many conversations, Dana, where we've referenced, not even just on this podcast, where we've referenced Trailhead modules and none of us can think of the name of it. So we're fictitiously kind of talking about this, Trailhead module that we don't know the name of. So I appreciate that.
No. Yeah,
one of these days, we'll get. Sorry, Dana. Go ahead.
Okay. So good. So, I have a question for you, Dana, and let me first start off by apologizing to Stacy because I know you've explained this to me before, Stacy. But my memory has since escaped. But anyway, so what is a trail mix? I mean, I know I should probably know this, but what does that mean exactly? Can you explain to the less knowing what a trail mix is? And I feel like that's a relatively new term because when I first got on Trailhead, I don't think that term trail mix existed. Am I correct?
I believe you're correct. So you've been around for a while. I remember when you kind of first popped up onto my radar, and it definitely was before trail mixes. So
okay, good.
So trail mixes are a new-ish fun feature we have on Trailhead. And so what a trail mix is, and if I can, maybe I'll step back one step. So on Trailhead, our content is, we consider it kind of a guided learning, but for learning on your own time and in your own terms. But we do have some suggestions. So we take the modules or the projects, we take the things that we think you need to learn, and we put them in an order that we believe will build upon your learning. And we'll put them in categories so you can run through one single trail and learn. And as you learn, your skills build. And as your skills build, you take the challenges and you move on to the next. And so that's a really great thing about Trailhead. But another thing that we noticed a lot of people wanting to do, and we got requests from our community, and we're always kind of listening to what people are asking for. And they wanted a way to mix and match. So yes, we have trails and they are in really great order for learning, but every once in a while you need to kind of mix and match from different trails to make your own custom trail for a specific reason. So say you're doing an onboarding, and you need to prepare certain new hires for how you use Salesforce at work and how to be great at their jobs. So they wanted to mix trails. So we thought of the trail mix. So we say it's kind of like a playlist where you don't have to play the album all the way through. You can kind of create a playlist of all different songs. And so you can make a mix of all different content from different trails. So you might say for your new hire, you want them to know some sort of Salesforce platform basics, maybe about reports and dashboards. Maybe you want them to know about diversity and equality at work, so they're great employees to work with their other coworkers. Maybe you want some of the stuff we were just talking about, something about how to prepare for one-on-one so they understand how that works. Maybe you want to add even other content, like maybe they do some work with call center, so that you want to add some of our service cloud information. So you can kind of build a list of suggested modules and projects for someone to work off of. Therefore, they have kind of one list and one place to go, and that's their trail mix and it has a custom title and URL and everything, and they know that's where they need to go to kind of navigate their way through Trailhead, rather than maybe in the past people would have had to kind of create their own landing page or doc that linked to separate content throughout Trailhead. So we see it as, a fun way to create a playlist of what you want to share and highlight all over Trailhead, rather than just kind of taking our word for it and following our trails.
And then, of course, the community has really taken it over, Justice. And so if you go, there's a tab in Trailhead to visit trails, modules, super badges, and then also, trail mixes. And there are some for like the releases have their own couple of modules, but they'll also often be a trail mix that might have a badge that has some extra modules that didn't exist before, where there have been enhancements or new features released, or the Salesforce released a couple of trail mixes following Dreamforce to highlight some of the big announcements for admins, developers, Trailhead lovers. And I know I created a trail mix that is a combination of Pardot and some of the key Sales Cloud functionalities. And Cheryl Feldman has a really good one for people just getting into the system, on just kind of an overview of, here's the important things you need to know first. There's some for people looking to get certifications. And so there's a lot of, very practical ways that people in the community have built these trail mixes. Would be great, hint, hint, Dana, if we could search, hint, hint, for trail mixes. But yeah, there's some really good ones out there.
So I like that a lot, actually. And just the practical example that Dana alluded to of onboarding. So, when I've gone through and I've trained users on leveraging Trailhead, there's usually, because Trailhead has 3 classifications, right? For the admin, for the developer, and for the business user. And I kind of have an open question on if they're ever going to expand and add additional classifications, but that's another conversation. But I think just from the perspective of, a new business user comes in, there might be some Trailhead modules that are of value to that onboarding experience, i.e. the CRM basics, which is under administrator, and then, whatever is relevant on the business user side in terms of classification. So I think that that's pretty cool. Thank you for sharing that, Dana. Stacey, I know you've explained this to me before, but that's pretty awesome.
I'm glad you think so. And Stacey, I'm glad you brought up a lot of those great examples, because we just had an internal meeting, and after our meeting, they created a trail mix of some of the badges that were mentioned throughout the basically like the small conference that people were suggesting would answer questions throughout. And so it was just a great way to kind of have someone say, like during the wrap up, like here's, summaries of things, and maybe there's some decks you can look at. And then also here's a trail mix of all the content that people were calling out as important throughout the event. So I think there's lots of different exciting ways to use it. And as far as being able to search for them, I know that that's a request, and I'm not part of necessarily that team that can make that happen, but I know it's something that they're aware of. So but I don't know exactly what the future holds there.
So Dana, will that work in tandem with? There was something you guys released at Dreamforce, and I'm pretty sure it's called Trailheart, but the Trailhead experience that's specific to an organization, custom to that organization, building your own Trailhead experience internally within your organization, and in alignment with internal processes and things of that nature. So, do trail mixes and that Trailheart work in tandem, or are we talking about two separate things here?
Well, yeah, that's my trailhead.
My trailhead.
My trailhead.
I really should be better prepared. I know. This is
the release announcement.
It's late. It's okay.
And Trailheart Justice is kind of just the thing that leads us. It's more of just a phrase we wanted to share during the keynote, as far as like what leads us and is our Northern Star for how we our North Star, I suppose, how we know what feels right on Trailhead. Like we have our Trailhead and we have our Trailheart, and we try to follow the heart for what feels right and it feels like we're doing the right thing, our moral compass. But my Trailhead is exactly what you're talking about. That was the announcement at Dreamforce, and so that will allow customers to customize Salesforce Trailhead learning for their companies. And so certainly trail mixes will be a part of that. But currently, my Trailhead is not yet available, whereas trail mixes are available currently and available for everyone. And while trail mix is more like customizing Trailhead as it stands now for your business needs using the publicly available Trailhead content. My Trailhead it goes a little bit deeper than that, as far as allowing a company to customize its Trailhead content in content in the actual module like sense to their business, rather than just creating a custom mix of publicly available content. If that makes sense.
Yep, that makes complete sense. Okay, good. So, okay, we're on the same page. That's good.
So, Dana, I saw an article that was published recently. PC Magazine says Salesforce Trailhead makes paper resumes obsolete.
Yeah, so one of the things we're really excited about with Trailhead is the profile feature. So when a trailblazer studies on Trailhead, their accomplishments will get cataloged on their profile. So not only will it show you the badges you've earned, but you'll also have a skills graph that highlights some of the top skills that you are now mastering. It'll show your rank, and there's also an About Me section, which allows you to provide more personal information like one would on a traditional resume. And one of the things that we're saying right now is that your Salesforce resume is your Trailblazer profile. It shows what you've learned, what your experiences are, and it shows what you're ready to do as a candidate. And as we move forward, we'll be working on improving that and making it exactly what one would need to replace the paper resume.
And in fact, we had Vala on a prior episode, and he had shared the same sentiment you're saying, Dana. He said Trailhead is now your digital CV. You recall that, Stacey?
Yeah. I do, yes. And I think that's what a lot of people thought LinkedIn was going to be. And maybe it still will be, but it definitely didn't happen as quick as maybe some people had hoped. But it's cool to see this growing. I remember Vala talking about it, and then to see these articles, not just publications by Salesforce blogs and articles, but outside companies recognizing the work being done with Trailhead and how that is representative of your work. And like we talked earlier, it's not just your ability to do Salesforce, although it is certainly that, but it does also show that I am someone who is aware of the importance of culture in my company. And, I am able to be a good employee to my manager and, and so forth, the other soft skills we were talking
And
about.
I think companies are starting to recognize the merits associated with Trailhead. At a former company I was at, I was looking at wanting to get sent to a training, and the budget wasn't there to send me to the training. So what my manager shared with me in lieu of attending this training was to get more skilled up on Trailhead, which obviously is free. 100 plus badges later, she was absolutely right, because I was able to skill up in certain areas that I had deemed as opportunities in my understanding. But yeah, I think the fact that organizations are starting to recognize Trailhead as a means for educational purposes, for skilling their admins and developers, I think what we'll end up starting to see, I have Trailhead reflected on my LinkedIn, and Adam Olashansky and a few other individuals shared with me kind of the best practice for how you reflect Trailhead as an educational component on your LinkedIn. And I think as you're looking for jobs passively or networking, I think, when people look at your LinkedIn profile and they see, 100 plus badges, they're able to kind of, if they know anything of Trailhead, they're able to discern and say, okay, so this person is relatively vested in their learning experience as it relates to Salesforce. So I think we'll continue to see that grow. I'm interested to see how that continues to evolve.
Yeah, that's awesome. Dana, did you have any more thoughts on the digital resume?
I think what's great about the visual nature of the Trailhead profile as a digital resume for your Salesforce skills is a lot of the times when you talk to a hiring manager for some companies, the hiring manager or the recruiter, I shouldn't say hiring manager, the recruiter, when you talk to the recruiter might not know a ton about Salesforce necessarily, but they do know that they're talking to someone, and the person is supposed to have a certain amount of Salesforce experience. I think what's great that when I've talked to folks at Dreamforce about the profile and making it public, and now you can also, by the way, have a vanity URL and customize the URL to your name for sharing with recruiters. One of the things people were talking about was, because it's so visual and easy to understand, they were able to kind of walk the recruiter through some of their experience and speak passionately about what they know, and that was able to kind of give them that personal connection with recruiters, and kind of liven up what their experience is, and so the recruiter can like them as an individual, can kind of understand deeper what they know and what they're passionate about, and help them stand out. And that was something I had never considered a benefit of the Trailblazer profile page, but I suppose it provides a little bit more clarity into what your expertise is for folks who might not know all the details of what being a Salesforce admin, developer, or business user really means.
Yeah, no, and the one other thing I really do also appreciate about Trailhead, and Vala's been on record for talking about this in various interviews, is obviously in a fourth industrial revolution with emerging technologies that are surfacing, there's an appetite for organizations wanting to get skilled up or skill up their employees in these areas. So, what is blockchain? What is artificial intelligence? What are these technologies that are going to help in driving the bottom line for many organizations? So what I love about Trailhead is that you can learn what artificial intelligence means specifically as a concept, and also specifically to the Salesforce platform and ecosystem. So, it's just kind of one of those things where if there's something I feel I need to learn in relation to Salesforce, the tool, the community, the Ohana, the cultural dynamics, for me, I always check Trailhead first. If it's not there, then I can start expanding upon other tools and resources. But, Trailhead has kind of become this one-stop shop for what you need to know as it relates to your experience in or out of Salesforce. I love it. Absolutely love it.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So, Dana, I participated in the Seize the Trail as did, I know, tons of people. It
I
was all
participated
over
as well.
Twitter.
Oh yeah.
Yes, yes. I saw lots of people doing Seize the Trail during their Salesforce Saturdays. And actually, I have a Salesforce Saturday coming up this Saturday. I just realized it's finally here. So I'm excited for that. So I don't know, maybe you can't even tell, but what do you guys have in store next? I've always looked forward to new releases of, new badges. Jen Lee jumps on those as soon as they come out because she's got to have them all. And we love the challenges and the quests and the games and stuff. Is there anything coming ahead that you can give us a little sneak peek of? Any Trail Heart Valentine stuff on the horizon?
I'm glad you guys love it. I'm still crawling out from under my Seize the Trail pile of confetti, making sure winners get what they need and all of that. But that was a wonderfully successful campaign. I'm really proud of. I think it really tapped into the enthusiasm that a lot of our trailblazers have for, setting goals for themselves and achieving them, and kind of really giving themselves an opportunity to transform their current career or their skill set. And I think giving that sort of incentive of a prize played off of what people want to do already for themselves, but sometimes you don't give yourself the opportunity. So that was really great. As far as next, there's not something right around the corner right now. I'm doing a lot of focus on just some new content that is coming out. So while there might not be a contest, we do have new content coming out in the next couple of days. And then there's some content coming out in a little bit after that. Try not to be too disappointed, but there will be some exciting content, but not necessarily a prize incentive there. One of the things that I'm excited about is hopefully getting to do another April Fool's campaign. And I know that April is a little bit of a ways away, but we'll need to start working on that soon as well. So I don't know how big of a deal we'll make it because there's just so much going on. But we always like to do a fun gag of sorts for April Fool's. So that is something that I know that is on the docket. Last year we did Trailhead is going to Mars. The year prior, I believe we researched Catter. And then there was the the year prior we did Where's Astro. We researched Catter, which was even year before Where's Astro. So Catter was when we had Chatter for Cats, the enterprise communication software for felines.
That was one of my all-time favorites. I'm a cat lady. I love my cats, and I love Chatter. I think in the organizations that I see, it is so often widely underutilized. So to get to combine my love for Salesforce and belief in how Chatter can really impact a company, and my love for cats, crazy cat lady and all that. Like, that was the funnest module to do.
I thought that was a very well done module. It was prior to my arrival, and I was quite excited when it was brought back because I hadn't gotten a chance to earn it the first time. And we brought it back one year for, I guess last year for like an International Cat Day celebration. And what's that? You're kind of bringing up a really great point, which is what I'm proud of when it comes to our campaigns, whether it's a contest to incentivize folks to learn and earn more and set higher goals for themselves, or just do a fun April Fool's contest or campaign rather. It's always educational at the same time. So Catter was silly and kind of like obviously a gag where we weren't really going to provide chatter for cats, but it highlighted Chatter for a lot of folks who maybe hadn't been using it at their company and didn't know all it could do. So while a lot of it was written in a humorous way, as far as some there's still the video online if anyone wants to try to Google for it, Catter Trailhead. There's a wonderful video that Chris Duarte made that is, I think, just a hilarious spoof of kind of like an infomercial. But yeah, that brought that to a lot of people's attention. And then the next year they did, I was just coming along to the team when this was being created, but the Where's Astro module, which said Astro was missing, help us find Astro. And there was a lot that one had to do within Trailhead to kind of work through that as well, like a little scavenger hunt. So there was some skill building there. And then with Trailhead on Mars, it was such a successful badge. That badge is actually still alive on Trailhead today. So it was part of an April Fool's campaign, but the project itself is very valuable and educational, and it's teaching folks how to use Process Builder to automate the process. And in the case of that project, it's to post messages on Chatter. So while, it's written in a fun way, it's showing you how to do a real skill that you could apply to something else at work or if you guys are moving to Mars, you could just use it exactly as it's built. But it's always a fun way to learn, and I'm really proud of those. And so hopefully we'll get to show you something fun for April. It might not be a badge all on its own, but it might just be a fun little kind of marketing message. There's all sorts of things that we're trying to do just to keep people spontaneously entertained, surprise and delight.
So Dana, I gotta ask, I'm curious, and obviously I know it's not a competition, but how many Trailhead badges are past and present are out there or available today? And is Jen one of the? Because I think we all know Jen Lee's like at the top. Jen, and I'm trying to draw a blank of who else is up there, but yeah, is it 300 or 330 or what's the number roughly, if you know?
There's well over 300. I believe there's even more than 330 badges that are available historically. I can't speak to who exactly has the most. Jen Lee is a wonderful Trailhead fan, a fanatic, I think she calls herself. She certainly has quite a lot. There are a lot of folks that do have all the badges you currently can have right now. And then some folks who have not only all the badges that are available now, but some of the badges you can no longer get. So community badges, as we call them, so event-specific badges for events that have passed. So you can't get those now. Or past fun promotions where we gift a badge if you earn a badge during a certain time period, like the Badge to the Future for the anniversary of the Back to the Future movies. So there are some people who have more than what's currently available now if you were to start today. And Jen certainly has a ton. I don't know her total as of now. I don't want to pressure her. She's a very hard worker.
You're listening, Jen.
Don't stress that. We both night owls, and she'll be a night owl on the East Coast, which is even worse than me. And I'll tweet at her to go to sleep, because she's tweeting that she's earning badges. She loves Trailhead, and she's a huge fan and a great friend of mine as well. I'd say you can definitely have, I think, over 330. I should know the exact total, but I don't.
No, that's good.
Well, and by the time this episode airs in a few days, you said there may be, or next week, there may be even more out. So it's always a growing total.
It is always a growing total. We try to produce new content every month, give or take. That's kind of our cycle, and it's all great content that is on things that are currently available, and updates to things that are already exist. So maybe do the different release badges. That's another thing that I think is a really big. It's not necessarily my favorite badge, but that's a really favorite badge of mine as far as utility for folks. Is whenever there's a Salesforce release, there's a lot of release notes one can pour through, and the release module. The seasonal release modules will kind of give you a highlight of what's in those release notes to help you kind of take your way through what you need to know for what's in the new release, and even what you need to maybe highlight to your execs or to your team. So there's all kinds of new content coming out. Sometimes it's soft skills, sometimes it's about new technology, sometimes it's about new releases. Also, we haven't really talked about super badges, and those are very popular, and so we're always working on some new and tough super badges for folks to work on as well.
Awesome. And tough is right. They are. They're not something that you're going to just read on your mobile phone and answer the questions. And I know there are people that do quite a lot of Trailhead badges from their phone. I think there's even a trail mix
Olashansky.
of Yeah.
I created a trail mix for badges on the go, and the idea there was that the badges that are mobile ready are the ones that where it's a multiple choice, so you don't have to dig into your org and start building necessarily, and it's just answering questions that, so it's not only just soft skills, but some of the other work that we have where a multiple choice question kind of serves the purpose best. So I created a trail mix. I think it's called Earn on the Go of mobile ready trailhead content. So yeah, I do it. I take the bus to go see my sister, and it takes like an hour and a half. And if I'm being a good girl, I'll earn a couple trailhead badges if I can.
So is that as simple as just opening up Trailhead on your mobile browser and then going through?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So you want to open it up on your browser. You log in, and then it will be easily readable and accessible on your mobile phone when you're doing the ones that are MCQs, multiple choice questions. So I did most recently on the one I did when I was literally on the go was the badge for hiring veterans. It was a lot of reading and kind of learning about the community and how to best utilize the veteran workforce. And so it was a perfect thing to do from my phone because it just was about like taking in the reading and being thoughtful about how I was going to answer those questions rather than needing, to dig into the technology of a trailhead playground, for instance. So it's great.
So Dana, just pivoting here as a last or final question, if you will, on this episode, what would be, and you've probably gotten this question 3 million times, so I'm sorry. What would be some words of inspiration or motivation maybe for somebody new entering the Salesforce ecosystem? And what would you say? And maybe with Trailhead, obviously, as a call out, what would you suggest or say to them that would serve as a source of inspiration for the journey they're getting ready to embark upon?
Yeah, of course. So I feel privileged in the way that I've interviewed so many people for their Trailblazer stories that I get to ask a similar question to them. And these folks are kind of the best of the best. So one of the things that I've really gleaned from everyone's thoughtful answers to that question is that you want to lean on the Trailblazer community. So there's a lot to learn on Salesforce. It's a wonderfully powerful tool. There's so much innovation and so much that you could maybe get a little overwhelmed if you don't feel like you have any idea where to begin. And besides using Trailhead, which will allow you to learn on your own pace, go onto the Trailblazer community, go online to it, trailblazers.salesforce.com, and meet some people in your local area, join the Trailhead group, join some of your local user groups. All user groups have groups listed there, and give a reach out and like let people know that you're new and you'll be warmly welcomed. And hopefully you'll be able to join an in-person group in your town as well. So if there's not a traditional user group, maybe you could start a Salesforce Saturday group or just really reach out. The community is, I think, what makes Salesforce so amazing. The tool is obviously brilliant, but the people make it, I think, the success that we are today. There's no reason to feel alone or overwhelmed with maybe a new job that you have or a new thing you're asked to do at work when there's this community of people who genuinely have what we were talking about earlier, trail heart, and they want to help and they want to provide you with the things you need to succeed with no strings attached. People just are genuinely so warm in this community. I mean, I felt it myself to come into a community that's established and start interviewing people and getting out there and talking to people and have them welcome me as I'm telling their stories is it's just been a wonderful experience. And I think that almost everyone I interview says to not be scared, to jump in, to ask the trail, to reach out to the community, and to take some time for themselves on Trailhead to learn. So my answer is the community.
Awesome.
Get better than that.
I love it. All right. Right. So, Dana, if somebody feels like they have an incredible story and they want to share, do you have a way that they should reach out to you?
Sure. I mean, one of the easiest ways I would say is to reach out to us in the Trailhead group in the Trailblazer community, to tweet at us. We're at Trailhead. We have a Facebook page for Trailhead as well. Send a message or post something in any of those ways if you can. That's probably one of the best ways. The Trailblazer community is a phenomenal first place to start. We can't always feature every great story we hear in every way, but we love to feature things in any way that we can. And it's so great to meet new people anyway. So I'll probably see any of those messages. So.
Awesome. So the Trailhead group in the Trailblazer community, Trailhead on Facebook, and the Twitter hashtag is just at Trailhead as well. So lots of ways to get connected with Trailhead. If they want to reach you specifically, your Twitter is the Dana Hall.
Yeah, so at the Dana Hall, and you can certainly reach out to me that way. I also man the Trailhead one, so it's probably I'm on the Trailhead one a lot more than I'm on my personal one. But people are welcome to reach out to me personally as well. I just might not see it as quickly.
That's awesome. And they can find our podcast has a handle, SF Campfires, which of course is abbreviation for Salesforce Campfire Stories, which is what we're doing here. We're sharing our stories. And Dana, we are so thrilled that you joined us today. When Justice and I had our very first conversation about doing this podcast, the first thing that he said was, we got to get Dana on this. We got to have her as a guest. So, mission accomplished for us.
Well, that's so nice to hear. I hope that I was as good as you were hoping.
Of course. It has been fun, entertaining, definitely very engaging. You have been so great to speak with. And we look forward to the new content coming out soon. More fun things, more educational things, lots of inspiring things for sure down the road. So thank you for joining us. And thank you to all of our listeners for joining us. And sharing your stories with us. And, we're excited for lots of other people already lined up that we're going to be featuring in the upcoming weeks. So we appreciate your feedback, your 5-star reviews on iTunes, and just listening and sharing these stories that you're hearing.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for having me.
Thanks, Dana. It was a pleasure having you.